thank you to the bookseller for hosting us this evening, and thank you to Stella and Bill for joining me in reading their lovely books this evening. A couple things first. So, my parents were both born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. Their parents were both born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. And their parents were both born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. In fact, we can trace my mom's family back to that region, back to like 1860 or maybe even a little bit earlier. So deeply entrenched in the South. In fact, my extended family is still all down there. So my second cousins, my third cousins, my fifth cousins twice removed are all still down there, and I think probably happily married to each other at this point. So I grew up in the north, just outside of Chicago, and have now situated myself on the East Coast. So my political leanings sometimes are in conflict with my ethnic roots, my cultural roots of the South. So if you know anything about the racial landscape of Memphis, Tennessee, it leaves something to be desired. So I often find myself conflicted, because we spent a lot of time in Memphis. We went to my parents' grandparents' house every summer from the time I was 4 to the time that I was 12. So their home was as much home as my home was. So this created a lot of conflict for me, and in ways that were conscious and both unconscious, and reveal themselves to me in ways that I don't anticipate, even to this day. And ends up being revealed through my poetry. Sometimes I'll go back to a poem and say, oh, that's what I was really writing. The other thing is, I've never owned a pet. Ever. So the first poem I'm going to read for tonight is called Schuster. One summer, the neighbors directly behind my grandparents' house brought home a rooster. My 2 brothers and I named him Schuster. We spent the whole season strutting and clucking back and forth along the chain-link fence that divided the lots into yards. In return, Schuster would strum the fence with his sharp beak and bark us back into the middle of the lawn. One day after lunch, Schuster did not come no matter how hard we called or how hard we rattled the fence. The seed we scattered just before going in, still spotting the dry Tennessee soil. Later that night, dining with the neighbors, we found him. Only we felt we knew him too well, and after the table was cleared, we slipped the bones into a plastic bag and took them out into the dark. Kneeling beside the fence in the faint glow of the porch light that barely reached this part of the yard, we 3 dug into the ground with my grandfather's trowel, to a depth we felt would keep our friend safe from more harm. We patted the earth down with our feet and sprinkled loose dirt over the tiny mound, not to hide what we had done, but because we felt revealed, this the first lesson in who we would make ourselves available for, so much becoming us from so little. We bowed our heads, each offering his own prayer, then we just walked away, each to his own room, near but not too near, satellites waiting for sleep. So my mom doesn't believe in dinosaurs. The true story. And that's because she was daughter of a Southern Baptist minister, and I do mean hell and fire, water, brimstone, Bible thumping, that kind of Baptist. Yeah. And oddly enough, when we moved north, she decided to join a UCC church. So if you know anything about United Church of Christ, it's about as liberal as you can get and still be Christian, other than Unitarianism. And I'm not sure what the shift was for. Maybe they had better cider and donuts after the service. I'm not sure. But you can imagine being raised in the UCC church, and because she raised us in a Southern Baptist home, so no drinking, no smoking, no dancing, no gambling, no fun, You can imagine also this creates some conflict for me growing up, and plays itself out in poetry as well. Is anyone here Southern Baptist? Okay, good, because that shit will kill you. My dad and Jesus actually went, or my dad
and Jesus. Dad's pretty old, isn't he?
My dad and Elvis went to school together.
About the same.
So, Dad didn't like Elvis, but that says more about my dad than it does about Elvis. And as you can see, I get the Jesus and the Elvis mixed up sometimes. Yeah. So, this next piece is called Jesus Was a Handsome Man. It's clear to see locks of pure light, eyes and the oceans in them, perfect for wading in. Elvis was a handsome man, too, swimming with fire, a voice too free to keep as his own, roaming alone without him now. My father knew him, Memphis, Tennessee, where no one feels at home alone beside the river, that treacherous ride into the Gulf. And when he sang, we were perfect sanctuaries, desired, free seated. Elvis knew Jesus, raised his voice into perfect clouds with perfect rain over our heads to reach him. Somewhere between the heavens and the fields, we are sure to die. And yes, I mean my father too. And Elvis refrained astride the carriage of our Thomas, the earth holding us close within treason. So for the middle third of my life, I was an atheist. And, surprise. I didn't share that with my family, so this is the first time he's finding it out.
No, you told me before.
So this next poem is about that, and it's as much about making choices and standing behind the choices as well. It's called Proving Grounds. We cut through the park again, head home from the public pool. So my brother and I, mothers urging, shrugged aside, can look for bottles in the tall grasses that surround the horseshoe pits. And we have become good collectors. Toss newfound labels into shirts fashioned smartly into satchels. Pennies closer to some prize we've yet to name. The pantry shelves now nearly 3 rows deep. Our mothers' concern growing. The summer already too long by late June. This morning the pits are filled. Green and brown bottles gleam with dew. And without a word between us, we smash glittering glass against steadfast stakes instead. Look up after only every bottle is gone. Early morning sun sharp on each severed edge. The smell of beer lingering on our fingers. When we return home, our shirts on our backs, Mother asks why we have no bottles for her to rinse and sort. Wash tub braced against her hip. I tell her about the bottles, about the chiming, about the way they glitter. My brother and me, about the way they glittered, colored the sands as she stares us down. The collection, my brother and me, fingers strumming empty toe. Without a word, she grabs 2 rakes from the garage, drives us to the pits, stands over us, arms crossed, until sand and glass are raked into small, even mounds. As soon as we are done, we dump the evidence of our work into the nearby bin, follow our mother to the car, to the task we know must lie ahead. The burn of hard labor still in our backs and arms, we believe even then that what we did was not wrong. maybe even beautiful. The weight of mother's will giving way beneath mid-morning sun. So I'm going to step away from the Jesus for a little while. This next piece is called Planning Our Departure. Leaving nothing to chance, we start the day by sharing our only surviving dreams. Mine is simple, the two of us driving nowhere with little regard for the drive. In yours, we are rowing, taking our time, taking turns at the oars. We make nothing more of them than that, but we have shared them. You roll away from me, hand dropping against the box spring, as if to usher this bed into motion, into one last feat of greatness, though nothing on it stirs. While we lie here, storm clouds settle in above us. Rain gathers in their sagging bellies. Felled cottonseed invades every grassless patch of ground below. I half expect to find this bed covered too. Mistake loose down against my pillow for some ambitious seed that made it through the screen beside this bed, seeking some higher, safer place to land. Who knows what falling is, how it ends where no light reaches and never has. Not even in the highest noonday sun, when shadows are but charcoal blemishes, no bigger than a sigh. So much goes unsaid between us now. The day passes us by slowly, drifts over the trenches where we lie. The hours ahead, still unfulfilled by all we cannot manage the strength to save. By the rain, cold and hard, falling from the sky to the earth where we wait. We insist on waging our losses against an hour more of sleep, against facing our certain departure from this room, or from any room just like this where we may have landed, seeking shelter from all we can't possibly begin to begin. So kind of like long titles, as you can tell from the world is perfect. So this next piece is called A Comprehensive List of What the Earth Owes Me for My Time Here So Far. Warmth. A fire that reaches the heart first, consuming the flesh from the inside. Liberty. Not freedom, but liberty, so that I may call my voice home. Fearlessness, or at the very least a heart larger than my fist, that my heart may always win. Love, yes, love too, but because it needed me. A place to die in, one with clean corners, one with even walls, one perfect for perfect slumber. Everything I once believed in, living on without me, like trees that have lived through winter after winter after winter, without their beautiful, beautiful leaves. So I'll just read one more. I'll end on a This is, again, a long time. This next one's called